Thank you once again for tuning in to KSU Gold. This show is being brought to you by Kentucky State University's College of Agriculture, Food Science, and Sustainable Systems. My name is Lindsay McGaha. I'm a media manager at Kentucky State University, and I'm your host. And on this show, we give our viewers a peek of our faculty, our staff, and our students and their efforts to continue our golden legacy of achievement here at Kentucky State University. On today's show, we're going to hear from Dr. Kirk Pomper as he shares all of his research on pawpaw fruit. We'll also hear from two farmers from Richmond, Kentucky, and we'll meet three students who took home awards at the Kentucky Academy of Sciences. But first, we'll turn our attention to Dr. Kirk Pomper, one of my favorite horticultural professors. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about what horticulture is.
Well, horticulture is really the study of high-value crops, and so it's something we're really interested in for our small farmers in Kentucky. And so anything that has a higher value, and that's like strawberries or blackberries or pawpaws.
Well, what is pawpaw exactly?
So pawpaw is a native tree fruit here in Kentucky. It's actually found throughout the southeast and even into the Midwest. And it's a very unique tree fruit, has an interesting flavor, kind of a banana pineapple flavor, mango flavor.
Where is this typically grown in the United States?
Kentucky really is a major pawpaw producing state. North Carolina and Ohio and Virginia and Maryland are also fairly large producers of pawpaws.
Now, for this to be grown in so many different states, it seems to be a pretty big mystery fruit, rather unknown to most people, mainly because it's not found in our farmers market, it's not found in our grocery stores, but in farmers markets. Why is that, and why is it relatively unknown still? Right.
Well, and that's a good point. And pawpaw, basically, there was a lot of interest in pawpaw even back around the turn of the century. There was actually an American Genetics Association contest to find the best pawpaw, and unfortunately, I guess the biggest problem with the pawpaw is it's fairly highly perishable and needs to be refrigerated fairly quickly after harvesting. And of course, there wasn't a lot of refrigeration around the turn of the century, and so pawpaw kind of took a back seat to some of the other crops like blueberry that didn't need refrigeration. And it's only in recent years now that we're seeing pawpaw at farmers markets and at places like organic grocery stores and such. But you don't find it in Kroger, and so that's why not everybody knows about it, or other supermarkets. Yeah.
You said that it resembles a tropical fruit. How is it able to grow in areas and environments like Kentucky?
Right, and so it is from the same family, Annonaceae, which is a family of tropical fruit such as cherimoya and soursop. Mm-hmm. And but it just has the ability to survive the cold. It's the only member of that family that can survive the cold weather of the southeast and Midwest. And so it's related to, and the flavor is a tropical-like flavor, and so that's what makes it also a very unique fruit.
You started working here in 1998. Tell us about some of the research that you've discovered since you've been here on pawpaw.
Well, when we first started out, there's not a lot known about pawpaw in terms of scientific literature, and so we've had the ability to really develop a lot of recommendations for folks. I think our biggest achievements were early on developing the propagation methods for pawpaw so they could be grown by nurserymen and produced and sold at the various nurseries. And then after that, it's been production of orchard crops of pawpaw. So we've been able to develop how you should grow the pawpaw, what type of fertilization it needs, and pruning. And then now we've moved on more into trying to breed for the next big pawpaw variety.
How many varieties do we actually have on our farm?
We have over 40 varieties right now, and then many, many seedling trees from around the United States. And so we actually have over 2,000 trees at the farm.
What are your favorite varieties of pawpaw?
Well, I get that question a lot, and I often frustrate people because just like there are a lot of different apple varieties out there like Honeycrisp and Gala, there's also a number of different pawpaw varieties, and they all have slightly different flavors. And of course, I will tout our KSU selections, KSU Atwood and KSU Benson, which I can talk more about as my favorites, but I also have some other favorites like Shenandoah, Susquehanna, and Wabash, and Overlease, which are some other good varieties.
Now, you mentioned our two KSU varieties. Tell us about Pawpaw Benson and Pawpaw, and what's the other name of it?
It's KSU Atwood and KSU Benson.
That's right. Tell us about those two versions.
And so we've been selecting for pawpaws. Actually, the KSU Atwood was released in 2010 and named after Rufus B. Atwood, who was a long-serving president here at Kentucky State University and also a strong civil rights leader here in Kentucky. And so we wanted to have a KSU tradition to the varieties that we named, and so we thought it was quite appropriate that they would be named after Rufus B. Atwood for our first selection. And so it had undergone about 15 years of testing across different grower sites and places outside of Kentucky even, and showed that it really had a high production of fruit and a good flavored fruit and a really nice kind of almost blue-green fruit on the outside with an orange colored pulp. KSU Benson was the result of also selection, and we wanted to name that after our long-serving land grant director, Harold R. Benson, who recently passed away. But luckily, when we were able to introduce it to the public, he was able to attend yet, and so it was a really special moment for us to be able to have him see the fruit named after him and to recognize his contributions too.
What makes those fruits so unique?
Especially,
is it the taste? Is it how it looks on the outside, or differently the size?
Yes, the answer would be yes, because it is the way they look too. With KSU Benson, it's a very round fruit with a green skin and a dark orange pulp. And Atwood is a little more elongated, but with a blue-green skin and an orange pulp that's not quite as dark orange. And they both have unique flavors. Atwood's a little more mango-like, and I'd say that Benson is a little more maybe pineapple-y mango. Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people confuse pawpaw with papaya.
Yeah.
Are those two fruits related?
It's a common mix-up because, unfortunately, papaya is actually often referred to as a common name of pawpaw also. And so I will get emails from tropical areas about our pawpaw research, and of course it's a different pawpaw. They're unrelated. Papaya is in a different family from the North American pawpaw.
Outside of the awesome taste of pawpaw, what other benefits does the pawpaw tree
you know, not only, I guess, I'll say ornamental value, but also there are medicinal aspects. It's a fruit pulp is high in antioxidants, not as high as blueberry, but still a good high antioxidant content. And there are ananaceous acetogenin compounds in the twigs and in the fruit, which are anti-cancer compounds. So there's that too.
What part of the pawpaw fruit can you actually eat?
You should only really eat the pulp, and the skin you could eat, but it's a little bitter. And the seeds inside, you should not eat the seeds, or at least chew the seeds, because inside the seed are alkaloids, which are a chemical which will actually can be used as an emetic. So you do not want to chew the seeds. So we have a processing where we actually take the pulp and separate it from the seed. And this is an example of pawpaw pulp where we will take the fruit, cut it in half, and we'll use a processor then to separate the pulp and the seed, and so you'll get a frozen pulp. And this can last in the freezer for up to 2 years and still be of good quality and be made into various products.
It looks a little like the color of mango on the inside of a mango.
It really does, yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, pawpaw is a very trendy fruit, and you mentioned making it to different products.
Yep.
How has pawpaw been used in the cuisine world to make a variety of different products that we have?
So there's definitely been a lot of interest in pawpaw by foodies and chefs. And chefs are always looking for some type of new food to introduce. The interesting thing about pawpaw is it does have a tradition because, folks' grandmothers or grandfathers, maybe when they went and visited, they had pawpaw trees out in the woods and they would go collect them and maybe make a baked good out of them. And so I guess, there's a tradition, but then we're also looking at new things. And so there are pawpaw ice cream, which is a great example of how to use pawpaw, pawpaw pie, pawpaw cakes, pawpaw jam. There's been a recent upsurge in using it in other things like wines and beer. In fact, there's recently there was a brewery in Lexington that just introduced a pawpaw beer. And so there's a lot of things out there in the culinary world that can be done with pawpaw as a unique flavor.
Now, as a person that studies pawpaw, would you say that pawpaw is your favorite fruit?
I can honestly say it is my favorite fruit because I really do find it very, very interesting. I do not tire of pawpaw, and I haven't gotten too much of a good thing yet.
Sounds good. Well, we have a treat today because we've got pawpaw ice cream on the show. A little goodie. I'll pass that to you. I've never tasted pawpaw ice cream before, so this will be a first.
Okay.
See how this goes. It's good.
Good. I'm glad you like it.
Actually, I don't know that I've even had a pawpaw before. A little treat on camera.
Great.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Pomper, for being on the show. Listen,
Thank
you
you.
all tune in. When we come back, we'll meet with two farmers from Richmond, Kentucky.
When I came to Kentucky State University, I could connect one-to-one to all the professors. I could talk to them, I could share my problems and then ask for the solutions. After my undergrad degree in agriculture, I was looking forward to continue my studies. It's easy to communicate to everybody here. In Kentucky State University, I found a very friendly education system here. I always wanted to learn more about the agriculture system. So it's a good thing about Kentucky State University.
Kentucky State University faculty and staff's research projects and programs have been awarded over $2 million worth of grants to further research in areas of science, math, agriculture, education, aquaculture, computer science, psychology, and sociology within this academic school year.
Welcome back, and on today's show, we've got the 2017 Kentucky Small Farmer Award winners. This award is given by the Natural Resources Conservation Service. At this time, I'd like to welcome two of our winners, well, and you all with one award. We've got Lonzo and Leroy Ballou. You all welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
So when you all first heard the news, how did you all feel about it? What were your first thoughts?
It's pretty exciting. I mean, happy to have the recognition.
We're doing something right, farming-wise.
Absolutely.
How long have you all been farming?
Well, actually, we're third generation. Our grandfather started it back in the 40s, and he's evolved and eventually got up to like 400 acres. So we're working 400 acres right now. It's a challenge.
What do you all currently grow on your farm?
Alfalfa, beef, vegetables.
Sunflower seeds. We got a 30-acre plot of sunflower seeds we do for fish and wildlife, and we're in the process of doing hemp. We're growing 10 acres of hemp for the Kentucky Department of Ag, which is not actually Department of Ag. They are monitoring Atello's the company that we're actually growing for. So we're hands-on, hands full.
Now, as brothers, who do you think works the hardest?
Oh, hands down.
We both do.
Hands down. Hands down.
We
Leroy.
both do.
Why do you say that?
He's what I call my green man. If he says it 9 times out of 10, it will grow. We did an experiment last year with hay bales, just our old hay bales that we didn't use. Put them out in a big block, and he says, hey, let's put our sweet potatoes in this hay. Unbelievable. We come out with sweet potatoes that were enormous. No fertilizer, no water, just simply put them in there and let Mother Nature take its course.
Now, did you all grow up wanting to be farmers?
That's a trick question, right? Because when I graduated from high school, I wanted nothing to do with it, and I bolted out of Kentucky. I went to Atlanta. I was going to school, of course, but I couldn't wait to get away. And as time evolved, of course, I couldn't wait to get back to it.
What made you come back to farming?
I realized that farming was what I grew up doing. I got to the city and realized I was landscaping. And I thought about it, and I said, well, that's what a farmer would do in the city. So I may as well go back to what I started doing. And I couldn't wait to get back. So I did my military time, and then I came right back.
What about you?
Oh, I followed my grandfather around when I was little, so I mostly stayed up under him all the time. So, but being so young, you didn't think that things that you see you take in so much, and as time grew, you know, the majority of the things that happens on a farm that you have to do with the farm, it just all kind of come to play, because you know, you just It comes naturally.
You all participated in Kentucky State University's Small Farm Program for a while. Tell us about your relationship that you've had with the Extension Program.
Our agent or representative is Mr. Chavez, or Chavis as they call him. He's been more or less educating us. He comes out and gives us heads up, and he has access to equipment, different equipment, things of that nature. So we're kind of growing together so that he helps us. He sees what we're doing. Basically, that's how we end up here now, because he noted that we were in compliance with what NRCS basically asked for their programs, and we've been involved in a lot of NRCS programs as well as Kentucky State. But Kentucky State's they're pretty solid. I'm pleased with what they've done with us.
There aren't a whole lot of African American farmers in the United States. African American farmers make up 12% of the farmers that are in the United States. And what advice would you give to minority farmers that are interested in starting a farm business?
Just hang in there. 'Cause it gets rough, but it'll get better.
Why do you say that?
Because God always helps the needy.
There you go, hey.
That's a good way of putting it. But it's kind of like our last year. We got 100 acres of the alfalfa. You can't put it up wet. You can't do anything with it wet. It's useless. So Mother Nature played a very tricky summer with us. So it's like every 3 days it rained. So we want to cut, watching the weather, those kind of things really will set you back if you're planning on doing a whole lot. You've got to know to watch the weather. You've got to know to be able to, you got to be able to have funds to sustain yourself when those type of situations happen. So if you're a beginning farmer, I'd say hook up with somebody like Kentucky State, go to your NRCS officer, and FSA is a Farm Service Agency, and get the information from those guys. They'll help you. They'll help you get started. But I'd say you're going to need a good bit of capital to carry you through, because it's going to take you a little while to get things going.
African American farmers produced $846 million worth of produce in the United States, but that was still a very, very, very small percentage of, the amount that was produced overall, actually 0.2%. What do you encourage, or what do you think African American farmers need to be successful in farming in the United States?
Learn how to do it with low cost. You get to try to minimize your costs to where when you do things or you grow a crop, you want to do it efficiently, but also financially low as much as possible. So that way your profit margin will be a lot more higher. So because of that, if you spend a whole lot on a crop, then you won't have a big return, because you got to pay that loan back or whatever. It's not necessarily got to be a loan, but what money that you have invested in that.
Okay, it could be labor.
You got to manage that accordingly to your harvest.
Now, do you all have sons and daughters?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Are you training them to be farmers?
When they're around.
Okay.
Yeah.
When they're around.
Yeah.
When they're around, they we try to pass it on.
Sounds good. Well, congratulations to you all both for being the winners of the 2017 Kentucky Small Farmer Award.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being on the show. It's a pleasure meeting you all, and much success in all that you all do. You all stay tuned. We're going to meet 3 students who were award winners at the Kentucky Academy of Sciences.
Kentucky State University is among the top universities in the South, according to recently released 2017 U.S. News and World Report College Rankings.
Kentucky State is a great school to attend, especially because of the small class sizes. You get that one-on-one experience with your teachers, your mentors.
I've really enjoyed being here at Kentucky State University, working and studying with the professors and students here who are very knowledgeable, very engaging, and very helpful.
You're able to actually talk to the professors. They're really caring and understanding and want to see you succeed. You also get in the field earlier. As a freshman, you're able to go out to the farms, you're able to do research projects.
After my undergrad degree in agriculture, I was looking forward to continue my studies. I was really interested in Kentucky State University and I love the research programs here.
Kentucky State has prepared me for a career in agriculture because you get the experience of being able to do different research projects. You get to actually collect and analyze your data.
So it was a perfect fit and really, really excited to be working in this field.
Recently, Kentucky State University sent 33 students to the Kentucky Academy of Sciences. Of the 33 students, 8 took home awards. These students presented research in areas of geography, mathematics, agriculture, and also engineering, to name a few. And today we have 3 of those winners with us here on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank
nice
you.
to be here.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about the research that you all presented on.
Basically, I come from the agriculture background. I'm doing my research in horticulture. It's on the pawpaw fruit that Kentucky State University has been working on. So basically, my research is focused to determine the self-compatibility in pawpaw and to see what would be its impact on fruit and seed sales. So that's what my research is on.
And you took home first place?
Yes.
That's right. Congratulations, girlfriend.
Thank you.
And are you a grad student or an undergrad?
I'm a graduate student.
Okay. And Jared, tell us a little bit about what you presented on.
I was in the poster presentations for the geography section, and the project that I was involved in had the pleasure to present involved identifying unmarked graves in the Frankfurt Cemetery here locally. So it was pretty cool. Basically, we look at the surface topology and see if we can determine from that what is underneath the ground in the old section of the cemetery where there's not really any marked graves and there's spaces where you can see that there's burials, but there's no headstones. And we had a specialist come out that did perform some ground penetrating radar scans as well, and to kind of verify what was under the ground, we ended up finding quite a few unmarked burials under the ground in that section. It was pretty cool. And what we were trying to do is tie the surface data that we had to try to figure out from the surface if there were burials underneath. But we mainly ended up relying on the ground penetrating radar, and we found quite a few bodies underneath, and a couple actually that were underneath the cemetery road, so it was pretty interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, it was a lot.
So Jared, are you an undergrad or in grad school?
I'm a first semester grad student. I just got enrolled in the program in the fall.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And tell us what award you took home.
I took the second place in the poster presentation. It was a good competition. I was happy to actually place.
All right. And what about you, Ooze?
My project involved with the water quality in mined watersheds. Some of the watersheds is mined long time ago, and some of them recently, and some of the watersheds is not mined at all. So I was checking the differences all in these watersheds, if water quality changing watershed to watershed, and I find really good correlation. As you mine the watershed more, the water quality goes down. Basically, I was presenting my project in geography section.
And are you in undergrad or are you a grad student?
I'm a grad student.
And what award did you take home?
I got second place.
Okay, wonderful. I'm proud of all of you all.
Thank
Did you all work with a mentor or with a professor in preparing your presentations?
Yes, I worked with Dr. Pumper, and then besides Dr. Pumper, I have Jeremy Loy and Sherry Crabtree. They helped me a lot during the field work as well as the lab work, and they helped me do the stats for my research too. So yes.
For my project, I worked very closely with the GIS specialists here at K-State, Jeremy Sandifer and Ken Bates. And also the specialist that did the GPR scanning, he came all the way from North Carolina to come help us and to get the results that we did.
I'm working with Dr. Gawali, and he has several research funds. This makes research easier on financial purposes. So it gave us a chance to work on this project. And also I'd like to thank Dr. Pumper for this opportunity.
Now, is this you all's first time participating at the Kentucky Academy of Sciences annual meeting?
This is my third time. First was in 2015 in Northern Kentucky University, second in University of Louisville, and this is the third time in Murray State University.
I presented last year at the KS for the undergraduate because I did my undergraduate here as well, and I took first place in my section for oral presentations.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Two-time winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my second time as well.
You all tell me a little bit about the preparation that it took in preparing for the presentations that you have.
Oh, I mean, you're in front of people, and so you want to make the best impression possible. And so, I mean, there's a good deal of work that goes into any presentation, poster or oral presentation. I mean, because you're pretty much on the spot out there, and your data and your work has to be, you know, very relevant and significant. Otherwise, one of the professors or whoever expert in the audience is going to pick up on that, and that's the worst thing, is when you think you're prepared and then somebody is like, oh, we've already done this 100 times. We don't think your data is good, and then you're completely on the spot.
How did you all choose your research projects?
Well, I mean, being students, well, the project that I was involved in, it just kind of a circumstance of events, and they needed somebody to be a present and a part of K-State, and I was available, and I just kind of showed up, and we started what we needed to do, and we got some really good results.
Do you all think that this opened up any new career paths for you all? Any new interests that you didn't have before?
It is on my resume already.
Tell me about some of those new interests that you developed through working on these programs or projects.
Basically, getting involved in seeing how my project was and working with a specialist. Getting to see people that operate in the professional world is super important, and how they conduct themselves and basically how they carry out what they do. And that's super important, for any job, and just getting to do some kind of technique that I'm not familiar with and kind of show the ropes of how to do it was really cool.
Do you all think that this program helps and grows students into being more effective scientists in the future?
Yeah, definitely. I believe our geospatial program is one of the best in Kentucky, and because we have research funds, we have good academic persons, so I think it's gonna get better.
Congratulations to you all.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you all for tuning in. We hope you catch the show every Monday at 8 o'clock p.m. Until next time.